Hello, this afternoon Della's here and she's going to film a new saddle fit video for our trees. The old video we had didn't include our widest trees, and at the time we actually considered our medium tree now our wide tree. The more we've got to know these horses and the more they've kept changing, we found out we need to keep going wider and wider. So we've got two rows of trees here. We've got three sizes to show you for the thoroughbred type back. We've got four over here to show you for the cutting horse or stock horse type back. When I refer to a thoroughbred back, I'm talking about a high withered, low backed horse. They can come in a range of sizes from narrow shoulder to medium shoulders to big square shoulders. Now that's true of both groups. So the differences are going to be on the shape of the horse's back that's going to declare which saddle he's got to have, either the thoroughbred type or the cutter type. Now, there are some horses that will cross over. We've seen a pretty good amount recently that have high wither but flat back, which is like a stock horse. They're a little bit more unusual, but we tend to treat them like a stock horse. So it's the shape of the back as well as the height of the wither that matters. Stock horse type backs are going to be all the way from medium to low withered with flat backs. Your thoroughbred backs, medium wither to high wither, and low backs. The low backs have to have more twist in order for that tree to touch the back. The cutting horse or stock horse type, the tree has to be flatter. If you put a tree with a lot of twist on a flatter horse, right here in the middle of his back, this part of the tree is going to twist down and touch him. And the ends are actually going to teeter-totter away from his back. So you're not going to get good contact on the ends, but you'll have too much contact in the middle, which can sore a horse. If you have a saddle and you're trying to make it work on two horses, which I don't really recommend, but they're of a similar width, you're better off to go with the flatter tree for the stock horse type and have it fit over to your thoroughbred type. You're better to bridge a little than you are to push in the middle of that spine. The whole job of a saddle maker is to build a saddle, to let that saddle rest on all the muscles out beside that horse's spine, but to be free of the spine so it doesn't put any pressure on those spinal vertebrae. The one major problem that we see in the saddle trees that don't fit, and you can see that on our saddle fit video, is the fact that the outer edges are touching. And what we do with ours is we lay those edges down. We put more square inches of saddle tree on the back so it'll distribute the weight better. And remember, all trees must, regardless of the type, regardless of the width, all trees must fit on the shoulder. So now we're going to talk about the types of trees. This is a TG. This is the oldest tree that we've been building for barrel racers. The reason we came up with this is for years we built for Talmadge and Mike Green. And when they were kids, they used those little ugly little wonder trees that had these funny looking shoulders on, and to him that's what constituted a barrel racer. He was used to this view. So what we did is we took our bar and we mounted these swells. I don't find them very modern looking. There are a lot of people that like them, and so we still put them on this. You can put them on slightly wider bars, but you're really limited how wide the bar can be, because there's a lot smaller area for the tree maker to connect the swell to the bar to make it secure. You can see if this was a round shoulder, you'd have a lot bigger area here, which would make this more stable and more secure year in and year out. So this little TG is made for your thoroughbred type, narrow build. Narrow is a 7 gullet. I know a lot of saddle makers build a 6.5 or 6 3/4 and tell everybody that that's how wide a horse is. there's not a horse in the world full grown that's got shoulders this narrow. They just don't make them like that. So it's impossible for a 7-inch gullet, a 6 3/4 gullet to fit a grown horse. We don't even use a 7 on a young horse, hardly, unless they're just a really narrow horse. You'll find some 2-year-olds, some 3-year-olds that can take it, occasionally even a 4-year-old. If you do find an adult horse that can fit this tree, it's probably the old blood, the old appendix type bloods that's allowing that to fit. But it's not normal. Your narrow slope shoulders, it's not just the width, but if you see a horse that's got sloped shoulders, you can just about guarantee that he is going to be a narrow. Now, if you have a narrow horse that has a low to medium wither and has a flat back, he's going to take the Pro Racer. Again, this is a tree that we do not build very many big horse saddles. This is just for your futurity horses. If you put this tree in the wrong place, if you put it behind the shoulders, you'll be like, woohoo, this saddle fit anything. Yes, it will. It'll just fit wrong. And when you have a saddle in the low spot of a horse's back, it might be fitting him and staying in place. It might even be having no dry spots, but it doesn't mean it fits. I would rather have it on the shoulder and have dry spots than have it behind the shoulder with no dry spots, because you're putting too much pressure on the vertebrae, on the chain of that back that flexes up and down. You're going to push that horse's back out of whack. And it can cause one of the new diseases that the vets have come up with called kissing spine disease. It's not really a disease, it's a condition. It's a condition from riding too narrow saddles on these horses and resting on their vertebrae instead of being held up by the shoulders. So your flat colt backs, this is one of the best trees for colts. It's even more usable on most colts than this is, because practically all colts start out medium to low wither and flat back. So the Pro Racer is the one that is most usable in young futurity stock. When you get to a little bit bigger horse, the next set are the 7.5-inch gullets. 7.5 is a standard size for a standard sized horse, standard sized shoulder. There again, comes in 2 shapes. You got the Rocket, which comes in the extreme shape, high withered, low back. It's got a lot more twist in it. It's going to be like this. Then you've got the Pro Max, which is going to be flatter and still open at the shoulders to fit on those shoulders like this. So these are both 7.5s. Don't get confused. 7.5 standard saddles. We still have the 2 back shapes, your thoroughbred and your cutting bred. Then you have horses that can be even bigger. And nowadays we're finding more and more horses that are going to take the larger trees. We probably now build more 8-inch gullets than we do 7.5s. Just a second and I'll pull these down for you. Okay, there again. Same gullet width. These are 8s. These are for your horses with the big square shoulders, or the horses that are so tall that they can appear to be average, but their very height makes them bigger than average, so they'll take an 8-inch gullet. Same body shapes. Your thoroughbred type, high withered, low back, is going to have a lot of twists. This is your Ultra Rocket. 8-inch gullet, Ultra Rocket, or thoroughbred type, 8-inch gullet. This is for the flatter backed horses with the big shoulders. This is the one that a lot of people call and tell me, oh, I can't find anything to fit my horse. Everything just rolls on him. Well, the reason it rolls on him, you're taking these narrow little saddles, putting them on top of something that's basically like a watermelon, and the saddle's just sitting there doing this. There's not even enough curve to the back to hold it in place. These Ultra Rockets, very seldom, this type of horse with the high wither and low back, very seldom will a saddle rock on them. But the little flat withered, flat backed horses, they will roll side to side on. We've recently found out that there are so many horses out there that the 8 isn't big enough for. This is the saddle we're making up for a lady now, and she's got a 4-year-old, and we built her an 8-inch, and the 8-inch isn't even wide enough. And the horse is only a 4-year-old. Well, these horses are going to grow till they're 8, so even though we're putting this horse in this tree right now, which is an 8.5, we call it our 1XL. And the 1XL is an 8-inch gullet, and it can have either the flat bar for our cutting types, or it can have the bar with more twist that goes on our thoroughbred backs. It can be either one, so it'll be XL thoroughbred or XL stock horse. 8.5 gullet. We do build 9s. We've only had to build 1 or 2. But I believe the lady filming this even has a horse that will take a 9. I believe they tried one on, and she needed a 9. So they are getting more common. So to recap real quick, your 2 7-inch gullets, which we consider for futurity or very narrow horses, are thoroughbred type, the TG, and Pro Racer for the stock horse type. Your medium gullet 7.5 is going to be flatback, Pro Max, and thoroughbred back, which is the Rocket. Ultra Rocket is the 8-inch gullet, and maxed out is the 8-inch gullet in the flatback. Then you have the XL Max and the 2XL that'll fit the wider horses in either bar. You can have either bar, but we go for 8.5 gullet, 9-inch gullet. Okay, so that's these trees. And I appreciate it, and call us if you have any questions, if some of this doesn't make sense, because we just threw it together. There you go. While we're talking about trees, I want to mention something that I've discovered in the last few years. I don't know how many of you ever know it. I've never even heard anybody discuss this. Pads should work for the shape of the horse you have. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there is no pad suitable for being put under a saddle except a felt. That's a 1-inch, expensive wool felt. I've seen alpaca wool, plain 100% New Zealand wool. Those are all fine. I don't like anything that's got any kind of polyester mixed in with it. I definitely wouldn't put anything rubber, neoprene, foam, air, gel on my horse. Felt is going to give you the most compression per square inch to spread out the hard parts of the tree on your horse's back. It'll support the rider's weight the best. It will also wick the sweat away on the bottom side and not raise the temperature of the horse's back extremely like plastic or nylon or any of the other polyester fibers would do. But the important thing that I found out about a pad is that all pads are not created equal, even when they're both 100% wool, 1-inch thick. The contour of the top of a pad, this is a Western contour. Let me move this one for you. The Western contour is for the medium to low withered horse. When you have this pad in half, the contour of this pad should roughly match the contour of your horse's spine. So as you can see from this contour, it's got a low to medium wither, it's got a curved back, it's got an opening here. This allows the blade wither to come through without padding on top and rubbing under the bottom of the saddle. So this should be used on any of your cutter type backs, whether it's a 7-inch, 7.5, 8-inch, whether it's a narrow, medium, or wide. This is the only pad that you should be using for those kind of horses. I don't like any of the pads that are totally square. There's a bunch of pad blanket combinations, but the problem is a lot of those have polyester in them. But there is no way that those square pads will form to your horse's back. Years ago they made 100% felts and they did have them square like that, but because they were 100% wool felt, they actually over the years would sweat in. The more modern pads are cut like this to let them sweat in faster and more accurately. You don't want a square one because when your saddle pushes down, it pushes all that bulky stuff that's sitting over your horse's back. It pushes it down into the spine. This has got all that extra cut out, so it's going to not hurt your horse, and it's not going to put any pressure between the bottom of the saddle and your horse's back when it crushes that excess down into its back. This doesn't have the excess. If you're going with a high withered horse, we had to design this pad. We couldn't find anything that worked. The one thing about a high withered horse is they're going to have a longer wither, because the high withered horse is high withered because his shoulder blade has rotated forward. As his shoulder blade rotates forward, it makes that wither longer. So we've got an extreme cutout here. This is about 11 inches. Although a lot of horses we're seeing now are so straight, we're having to cut them back another 3 inches here to go all the way to a 14-inch cutback. This is an adjustable wither strap, so for an extra high wither, he's got plenty of room. The benefit of this is we're not padding up another inch over his wither, so you don't have to worry about the top of the bottom of the gullet coming anywhere near his top of his wither and rubbing it. You've got the long cutout here for a blade that comes through like this without padding up on top of that and soaring. Like I said, if this doesn't fit just right, if your horse's wither is that much longer, then this part should be cut out. And your local saddle maker or a shoe shop can do that for you. But if you notice, this has got a very extreme twist to it. So this is what works on high withered and low backed horses. If he's a medium wither and a low back, it'll actually pull down to here. So there's your shape. The spine should match roughly the contour of your horse's spine. Okay? Thank you.